I'm still on that journey myself, but I've made progress throughout time. And I hope this podcast helps you reflect on your own path as well. Are you making your own decisions, or are they still being made for you?
Welcome back, listeners, to the Say More podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Josh Wallace, and I have another esteemed guest with me here today, Johara. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, and you?
I'm good. I can't complain. Can't complain at all. A lot better now that we have you here on the podcast. So Johara, you're going to tell us a little bit about self-authorship. But before we get into the details, I think our listeners want to know a little bit more about you. So can you share a little bit about your background for us?
Yes, my name is Johara. I graduated from U of L in psychology, and I decided to go into higher education for my master's because I'm interested in student development.
Nice. Well, welcome. We're so glad and lucky to have you here. And just appreciate you being a part of the program and a part of the class as well, of course.
Thank you.
So like I mentioned before, I know you're going to tell us a little bit about self-authorship, but before we get to the theory, I think we want to know more about the author. So what can you tell us about the author of self-authorship?
Yes, the author is Dr. Marcia Baxter-Magolda. She's a professor at Miami University in Ohio. She has worked there for 30 years. She earned her PhD in educational leadership and has over 27 years of research experience focused on how students grow and learn throughout their college years and beyond. Her main interests include student learning, identity development, and creating educational environments that help students move from relying on others to developing their own voice and direction.
Nice. Thanks for telling us a little bit about Dr. Baxter-Magolda's background, right? So now that we know a little bit about the author, I want to get into a little bit about the theory. But I want to start with the origins, right? What can you tell us about the origins of self-authorship and how Baxter-Magolda was really sort of conceptualizing them?
Yes, the theory is called self-authorship, and it originates from the student development discipline influenced by developmental psychology. Dr. Magolda developed the theory through an ongoing study where she followed students for over 2 decades. She observed how college experiences impacted their ability to define their believed values and relationships. She found that students often entered college relying on external voices like parents or professors, but slowly learned to trust their own judgment through intentional learning and life experiences.
Okay, nice. So you told us a little bit about the origins, and so it's good to sort of hear and know kind of where Baxter-Magolda was coming from, right? Now I'd love to get into some of the main ideas. I know that's where you were going. Let's talk a little bit about the main ideas. What were some of the main core ideas of self-authorship, the way that Baxter-Magolda was really conceptualizing them?
Self-authorship is the ability to define your own beliefs, identity, and relationships internally. The theory includes 3 aspects of development: mental, how we make meaning and evaluate knowledge; interpersonal, how we understand ourselves; interpersonal, how we relate to others while staying true to ourselves. For example, Lily used to agree with her friend group on everything to avoid conflict, but she took a communication class. In her communication class, she had learned a healthy way of disagreeing, and she used that method towards her friendships and other relationships. And she feels more respected now. This shows growth in the interpersonal point of view.
Nice. Thank you for explaining some of those components and also giving us an example, right? So as you've probably heard me say multiple times in class, all theories have limitations. Self-authorship is no different, of course. So I'm curious for you, what are some of the limitations of self-authorship theory?
The theory was developed using research from traditional age, mostly white middle class college students. It may not fully apply to non-traditional minority or first-gen students whose paths to self-authorship looks different. The second limitation, it assumes a somewhat linear developmental process from external to internal meaning making. Everyone's self-authorship looks different. Not everyone moves the same way. Everyone has different things going on in life between different stages. The third limitation is not all college environments support or promote self-authorship. If institutions focus on only grades or career prep, they may miss the opportunity to help students grow personally and meaningfully. And also, it does not talk about students outside of American culture. There are people from different religions, cultural backgrounds, and this could be applied. It would help them.
Nice. Thanks for really sharing a robust list of potential limitations for self-authorship. Now, as educators, right, and even budding educators, right, we're always thinking about practice, right? How are things applied in practice? So I'm curious for you, when you're thinking about self-authorship, what are the ways you feel like that self-authorship can be applied in student affairs practice and academic affairs practice for students, staff, and faculty?
Of course, it could be applied in multiple ways. The first one, academic advising. Advisors can use the theory to help students make decisions based on their interests and values and not just external pressure. For example, a student unsure about their majors is encouraged to explore their passions and reflect on what matters the most to them.
Nice.
And number two, I would say just overall in student affairs, I feel like if self-authorship is applied, it could help the students find their voice and help them. Examples could be some classes for students who are unsure about their major that could assist them in finding their passion.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing some of those ways that we can apply self-authorship to student affairs and academic affairs practice. Well, listeners, that's really all the time we have today. I want to thank my esteemed guest, Johara, for coming and spending time with us and bestowing a level of knowledge onto myself and our listeners about self-authorship. Johara, any sort of final takeaways or anything you want to give the listeners?
Well, I would like to say a final thought. I'm still on that journey myself, but I've made progress throughout time. And I hope this podcast helps you reflect on your own path as well. Are you making your own decisions or are they still being made for you?
Mic drop. What a question, right? What a question. Well, listeners, again, that's all the time we have today. I want to thank Johara and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.